Hi all. So we will continue from where we left yesterday. So on the first day, on Monday, so we start with the demand. And yesterday we went over the demand function. Okay, so what we mean by the demand function. Let me remind you what we mean by the demand function here. Okay, so demand is composed. So demand function is basically a function, okay, and the inputs are the price of the good itself, price of the other goods, and your income. Okay, so basically, so it affects how much unit that you would like to buy for a good for a given prices. And so we denote it by quantity demanded. So quantity demanded will be a function of, again, the price itself, price of the other goods, and your income. So this is income. So this is price of beef. So let's say this is price of chicken. Okay, and this is quantity demanded for beef. Okay. So for example, if you would like to write a demand function here, so it can be just, for example, Q is equal to $171 minus 20p plus 20 PC plus 3PF plus 2Y. Okay, so again, this is the price of chicken. So this is price of fish. And this is income. And this is price of beef. Okay. So what is important here is basically, so we are interested in the effect of the change in the price on the quantity demanded. Okay. So we would like to understand, so how much an increase, a change in price. For example, if we increase the price of the beef, what will be the effect on the change on the quantity? Okay, so that will be our question. Okay, so to do that, so what we do is basic, so we are using the derivatives. Okay, so I'm sure that so you all remember how to take the derivative of a linear function. These values are just examples. Yes, you are right. Okay, so do you know, so do you remember how to take the derivative of a linear function? Yes, no? Okay, so basically, so we will be using derivatives in this class. Okay, so if you don't remember it, so please, so contact with me, so I will try to give you some resources for that. Okay, but so here it will be very easy. Okay, so this is a very easy function. Okay, and so let me write the basic rule for the linear functions, how we take the derivatives here. For example, let's say that our function is y. So let's use z, okay, is equal to A times x1 plus B times x2 plus C times x3. Okay, so here we would like to see the effect of the change on x1 on z. Okay, to do that, so we take the derivative of this z function with respect to x1. Okay, so here a, b, and c are constants. Okay, and x1, x2, and x3 are variables. Okay, so since this is a linear function, okay, so the rule for taking the derivative for the linear function is basically just writing down the constant itself. Okay, here just a. Okay, since we don't have any x1 here in the second term, okay, there is no x1, no x1 here, okay, no x1, okay, I don't need to take the derivative for those parts. Okay, then to see the effect of the price change here, so we are looking for the derivative of the demand with respect to price, and it will be minus what? What's the derivative of dq over dp? It is minus 20, yes. Okay. For example, so if I want to take the derivative of this one with respect to, for example, I'm just try to make it, I just want you to remember so what we are doing here, okay? For example, if you take the derivative with respect to PC, then it will be plus 20, okay? So for the linear functions, the rule is very simple, okay? Just use the constant, okay? So the coefficient, okay? So that is what we did for the demand. And we also introduced the supply here, okay? And we introduced the supply curve. So if you watch the video that I posted, you will see that, so that the supply is basically the supply curve shows the relation between quantity supplied and price of the good, okay? Again, so what I am doing is basically, so I am asking the firm, okay, saying that, okay, how much unit would you like to supply when the price is this much, okay? And I ask this question for many different price levels. So the price curve will be basically an upward increasing line. Okay, so here this part is price and this part is quantity supplied. Again, so we fix all the other factors. Okay, so what do I mean by all the other factors? So you can just think about the cost of production or the price of another good or something like that. Okay, then I'm just interested in the relation between the quantity supplied and the price of that good in the market. Okay, then I also define the quantity supplied as a function. Okay, so it will be a function of the price of the good itself. Okay, and for simplicity, just let's say that price of inputs. Okay, for example, if we are talking about beef here, okay, so this is quantity beef supplied, this is price of beef, and this is price of cattle. Okay, the price of the crops, also whatever you are producing beef for. Okay, so what we would like to do today is basically, okay, so if you can see that, okay, so we are somewhat doing a survey here. Okay, we have done a survey here. Okay, so we just ask question. Okay, so we just try to learn the responses of the firms and the customers for different price levels. Okay, but in the market, when you go to a mall, okay, you can see exact price of something. Okay, or when you look at the data, you can see the exact number of the BMW cars sold in Turkey, or you can see how much a product is consumed every year. Okay, at what price? Okay, so you can also see some kind of a price range for the for that good. Okay, basically, so we would like to understand how those prices and the quantities are determined in the market. Okay, so we are looking for market equilibrium. Okay, so the market equilibrium is basically, so let's define the equilibrium first. Okay, I will change the direction of the sorry. Okay, so basically, so even without, we are not talking about economics. Okay, so whenever we say an equilibrium, you can just think about a situation in which no one wants to change their behavior. Okay, so basically, so what do we mean here in economics? Okay, so for example, if you are looking for the market equilibrium, okay, so the people, okay, so here the people will be the sellers, buyers, okay, and their behavior is basically how much they supply and demand. Okay, so basically, so the market equilibrium price will be then is the one at which consumers can buy as much as they want and sellers can sell as much as they want. Okay, so what is the point here? Okay, so what do we mean by the market equilibrium price? Okay, so basically that is the price, okay, that if you are a seller, if you want to so for a price of $10, if you want to sell 10 units, okay, you are buying, you can find customers who would like to buy all those goods, okay, and there is no more customer who would like to buy more. Okay, basically, so that will be the part. Okay, and the equilibrium quantity is the quantity both and sold at equilibrium price. Okay, so let me stop for a second here, okay, and let me ask you, so whether these definitions are clear. Okay, so is there a problem with the definitions? Okay, so I just got response from 3 people. Okay, so I should either assume that most of you are doing something else, or perfect. Okay, good. So as much as you respond, okay, so I can see that, so you are following, and so it will basically make the class more efficient. Okay, so these concepts are very simple. Okay, and I'm sure that, so you have already learned those concepts in your introductory courses. Okay, so here the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity. Okay, so if we look at the equilibrium quantity definition, okay, if we look at here, so it tells that the quantity bought and sold at the equilibrium price are equal. Okay, so basically it doesn't say equal, but as you can say that the quantity bought and sold at the equilibrium price. Okay, so if the equilibrium quantity, if there is a unique equilibrium quantity, let's say Q star, okay, then Q star is equal to quantity demanded, and it's also equal to quantity supplied. Okay, and basically, so there should be also some equilibrium price level. Okay, so basically, so this Q star is based on equilibrium price. Okay. So let's try to visualize this on the graph. Okay, so let's remember how we draw the demand and how we draw the supply. Okay, so actually, so for demand and for supply, we use the same graph. Okay, so what do I mean the graph? Okay, so the y-axis is the price, x-axis is the quantity. Okay, so this is the price, this is the quantity. Okay, so we are using the same thing for both. Okay, so the demand curve is some kind of a downward sloping curve, right? Okay, this is demand curve, and this is the supply curve. Okay, so is there a reason why I am drawing them on the separate graphs? Okay, can I just draw them on the same graph? Okay, there is nothing limiting me to not to draw them on the same graph. Okay, then let's draw them on the same graph. Okay, so let me just put this supply curve. Let me put this supply curve on the on the on the first graph. Okay, so I will just draw it here. This is supply curve. Okay, and let's think about where is the equilibrium price here. Okay, so let's think about the following level. Okay, let's say that P1. Okay, so how much unit is supplied at P1? Let's say this is 20. And how much unit is demanded at P1? It is, let's say it is 50. Okay, so can P1 be the equilibrium price here? It cannot be, right? Because at P1, quantity demanded is 50, and at P1, quantity supplied is 20. Okay, so they are not equal. Okay, and basically, so what we say here is what we say here is there is a, so which one is greater? Okay, demand or supply? Demand is greater. There is an excess demand. Okay, people are demanding more at this price, and there are not enough supply to sell them. Let's consider a different price level. Okay, let's say that P2. Okay, so let's say P1 is, I'm just saying, P1 is 10 and P2 is 30. Okay, at price level 30, so what is the demand? Okay, demand is, sorry for my drawing, but it looks like 20. Okay, at P2, quantity demanded is 20 and quantity supplied is something 60. Okay, and since they are not equal again, so there is an excess supply. Okay, so here neither P1 nor P2 is equilibrium price. Okay, for the equilibrium price, so I'm just looking where the demand and supply are the same. Okay, quantity supply and quantity demand are the same. Okay, can you see at what point they are the same? Yes, basically the point where both the demand and supply curve are intersecting. Okay, and in this graph and on all graphs that we will see in all demand and the supply functions that we will be interested for this course, okay, they will be intersecting in at most one price. Okay, so they say this is P star. Okay, and say let's say this is 40. Okay, at P star, quantity demanded is 40 and quantity supplied is 40, so they are equal, so no excess demand or supply, so basically we find the equilibrium price, okay, which is P star, and equilibrium quantity is So this is basically something very easy to understand. Okay, perfect. Let's try to make a very simple example. Okay. Okay. So let's say that Q demand, the demand function is given as 286 minus 20p, and Q supply is given as 88 plus 40p. Okay, so now we are not working on the supply curve or the demand curve, but you are given the demand function and the supply function. Okay, and we are asked to find the equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, so can you do it by yourself? So in a few minutes. Okay, just work on the math. Okay, so let's see that we are on the same page. Okay, I will give you just 2 minutes to complete this question. Okay, so in other answers. Okay, so perfect, perfect. Okay, so no, no, that's all fine. Okay, so let me speak Turkish for a minute. Okay, so burada biz market equilibrium price ve demandini bulmaya çalışıyoruz. Tamam mı? Burada hani dikkat etmemiz gereken şey tanımda diyor ki equilibrium olduğunda quantity demanded eşittir quantity supply. Bu ne demek oluyor? Sadece bir tane quantity miktar olması gerekiyor ki burada demand ve supply çakışsın. Hani zaten buradaki anahtar kelime çakışma. Çakışmaktan dolayı bizim burada yapmamız gereken demand fonksiyonuyla supply fonksiyonu birbirine eşitleyeceğiz. Oradan bir bilim yani bir denklem var. Oradan da price'ı çekip miktarını bulmaya çalışacağız. Tamam mı? Şimdi so what we are interested in is finding the point where the quantity demand is equal to quantity supply. Okay? So these functions are already given to us. So basically what we will do is we will just write down the functions. Okay? So right now I have one equation and one unknown. Okay, so the unknown is price. Okay, so as you can see, there is no Q here. Okay, no Q. Okay, but I'm not worrying about it. Okay, so once I find the P, okay, I can plug in the values here and I can find the quantity. Okay? So let's try to find P here. Okay, so I will do it slowly. Okay, so for everyone to follow the math here. So I will just take the terms with price, okay, on the right hand side, and I will take the terms without price on the left hand side. Okay, so which is 286 minus 88 is equal to 40p plus 20p. Okay, then what we have here is, what is the math here? It is 198 is equal to 60p. Is that correct? And so if you do the math here, so it will be 189.60, and you will have price is equal to 3.3. Okay. So how do I find the quantity? So remember that at the equilibrium, quantity demand is equal to quantity supply. Okay. And it is given by a single price. Okay. I will just plug in this value to either the demand function or the supply function. Okay. So let's do it for the demand. Okay, quantity demanded will be 286 minus 20 times 3.3, which is 286 minus 66, which is 220. Okay. So in order to verify that we are doing something correct, okay, so let's put the same price for the supply. Okay, you don't have to do it for both. It is enough to just do for one, but I just want to verify it. This is 3.388 plus, so if I multiply it by this one, 132, which will give us 220. Okay, so the answer will be equilibrium price is equal to 3.3 and equilibrium quantity is equal to 220. Okay, it is just the algebra. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let's think about another example. Okay, I will not solve it, but so that I just want to visualize something here. Okay, equilibrium always exists. Okay, do we always have an equilibrium in the market? Okay, without any interruption. Okay, suppose that so that no one is interrupting the market. Okay, so there is no government, there is nothing, and we are just looking for whether supply will be equal to the demand all the time. What's the answer? Can we always have an equilibrium? No, no, not always. Okay, so you can just guess that. So if I'm asking something like this, then the answer should be no, right? Okay, so if it is yes, why should I be asking? Okay. For example, the stock exchange. So do you mean the stock exchange? No, so the people may be stocking. Okay, so you are correct. Okay, so but that might be because of the frictions. Okay, so let's think about it. Okay, so we have the quantity demand function and we have supply function. Okay, and whatever we are given, okay, for the sake of the simplicity, okay, so you will just equalize it. Okay, and this will give you a price. Okay, so if we are using linear demand, which is downward sloping, sorry, which is downward sloping, and linear supply, which is upward sloping, okay, those graphs will always intersect. Okay, so what do I mean here? Okay, suppose that this is the demand function. Okay, so basically this will be the demand function, and so if the supply function, okay, starts from here, okay, it's intersecting. Okay, so if it is here, it is intersecting. If it is here, it is intersecting. Okay, so those linear functions will always intersect. Okay, so there is no way that you can get you may not have the equilibrium price. Okay, but let's think about the following situation. So this is again another graph. Okay, so this is demand. Okay, demand, and suppose that this is the supply. Okay, so how do I interpret this graph? So how do I interpret this graph? Here, let's say this is price 40 and this is 50. Okay, so what is the minimum price that the suppliers would like to supply, the firms would like to supply? It is for the suppliers. Okay, the minimum price that the firms would like to supply is 50. Okay, so from my writing, so it may be misleading, but here, if the price is below 50, okay, the suppliers would like to supply 0. Okay, if P is less than 50, supply will be 0, right? What if for the demand, for the customers, what is the maximum price that the customers would like to pay? It is 40. Okay, if price is greater than 40, okay, demand is, okay, 0. Okay, so as you can see from the graph, okay, supply and demand do not intersect for price greater or equal to 0. Okay, so for the range, okay, where we have positive price, okay, or non-negative price, those supply and demand does not intersect. Okay, do we say that there is no equilibrium here? So it's a mixed question here. Okay, so basically there is no equilibrium price. Okay, because they don't intersect. Okay, so in fact, so there is an equilibrium price. So if we draw these graphs for the negative prices, okay, so you will see that so they are intersecting at some negative price, but it is meaningless. Okay, and yes, then we can say that there is no equilibrium price, but there is an equilibrium quantity. Okay, so that what is the equilibrium quantity in this market? Okay, so I confused you. Okay, let's so forget about the math. Okay, forget about the graph. Okay, what will be the quantity sold and quantity bought in the market? It will be nothing, right? It will be 0. Okay, so here no equilibrium price, but equilibrium quantity is 0. Okay, so basically it means that there is no transaction in the market. Okay, that's another alternative way to say. Okay, any questions so far? No question. Okay. Okay. So let's think about something strange. Okay. Okay. So right now, okay, for the demand, okay, for demand and supply, okay, we talked about demand of single consumer and supply of single buyer. Okay, so you can interpret this as the single individual is the market itself. Okay, you can just interpret it like that. Okay, but what if we have, let's say that two people, let's say they are Umut and Matt, okay, and they have different demand functions for the peak. Okay, so let's say that this is the demand function for Umut, so this is demand Matt. Okay, so this is quantity, this is price, this is price, this is quantity. Okay, for the first guy, okay, so let's say that demand function is starting from 50 and it goes to 50 like this. Okay, and the second guy, demand is starting from 50 but it goes to 100. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is basically, so we have two different individuals here. Okay, we have two different individuals here and they have different demands. Okay, but I would like to see what is their aggregate demand. Okay, so for the aggregate demand, what I want to do is basically, so I want to sum up their demands, okay, for each price level. Okay, and it is basically, so just summing up. Okay, sum of their demands for each price level. Okay, so what do I mean by summing up the demand for each price level? Okay, so let's think about the price level. Okay, so let's think about the price level for 60. Okay, when price is 60. So when price is 60. So let's say this is Umut, this is Max. Okay, so what is the demand for Umut when the price is 60? Does Umut demand anything when the price is 60? Tabii burası çok önemli. Biraz dikkat edelim. Hani responsive olalım burada da. Hani sizin anlayıp anlamadığınızı şey yapmaya çalışıyorum. So if I keep the price level as 60, okay, is there any demand, okay, in the market? There is none, okay. So basically, so both guys, okay, demand 0 when the price level is 0. So when the price level is 60, so which means that the aggregate will be 0. Okay, so since both of them are demanding nothing, okay, so the aggregate will be 0. Okay, so when price is 50, is there a demand in the market? So it is yes and no. Okay, so why it is yes and no? Because of the demand function, demand curve is intersecting starting from 50. Okay, you can just think that there is a demand, but the demand will be again 0. Okay, for both of them. Okay, so what if when the price is 0, okay, how much Umut demand? It is 50 for Umut. And how much Mert demand? It is 100. Okay, so what will be the aggregate demand at that point? It is 150. Perfect. Okay, so for example, if we take the price level something like 40, okay, so I haven't exactly said so what is the exact demand at price level 40, but let's say this is X and this is Y. Okay, so at the price level of 40, so Umut is demanding X and Mert is demanding Y. Okay, exactly. So if you do the math and so think about this linear demand curves, okay, so those will be the corresponding values exactly. But let's say that it is X and Y, just some numbers. So what will be the aggregate demand here? What will be the aggregate demand? It is X plus Y. Okay, so basically, so this is the logic here. Okay, so for finding the aggregate demand, okay, so I'm just summing up the corresponding demands for individuals. Okay, and if I want to draw the demand curve, the aggregate demand curve here, okay, it will look something like this. Okay, so this is aggregate demand curve. It is starting from 50. Okay, so for any price level 50, above 50, okay, there is no demand. Okay, there is no demand for any price level 50. Okay, it will start from 50, and when the price is 0, the maximum demand will be 150. Okay, so what I do is basically I'm just connecting those 2 points. Okay, so this will be the aggregate demand. Okay, so this is one case. Okay, is this clear? Okay, so this is very simple. Okay, I'm just adding up the numbers here for different price levels. Okay. Now suppose that, okay, I will draw them on one graph. Okay, so not two different graphs. Okay, so this is the first individual. Okay, so this is the demand curve for the individual one. Okay, so this is individual one, and let's say that this is the demand curve for individual two. Okay, now how do I draw the aggregate demand curve for those two individuals? Okay, so let's go case by case. Okay, so let's in order to make it easier. Okay, so let's say that this is 50, this is 40. Okay, so when price is greater than 50, okay, is there any demand? Is there any aggregate demand here? No. Okay, so the aggregate demand is 0. Okay, so when we look at the price level between, okay, 50 and 40, okay, so individual 2 is demanding nothing, right? But individual 1 is demanding that. Okay, so the aggregate demand will be the demand for the individual 1. Okay, and when price is less than or equal to 40, and of course greater than 0, then the aggregate demand is the demand for individual 1 and individual 2. Okay, I'm just adding up them for that price level. Okay, so if I want to draw this aggregate demand, okay, so let me use a different color here. So for price greater than 50, it will be 0. Okay, so when the price is between 50 and 40, between in this interval, the aggregate demand will be equal to the demand for the first guy, okay, for the individual one. But if I go below price level 40, I need to add up their individual demands, okay, two individual demands, okay. So which is basically, so if I just shift, okay, individual two's demand curve, okay, and just put it here, starting from here, we will get, okay, so this will be that, okay. So let's say this is x, this is y, then it will intersect at x plus y, okay. So there will be a king at price level 40, king at price level 40. So this portion of the flatter portion of the graph, okay, the demand curve is individual 1 plus individual 2. So this flatter, this steeper part of the demand curve is just the demand for the individual. Okay, so you have a some king-shaped demand curve. Clear? Good. Perfect. So, any questions? No questions? So I will stop here. But for Friday, okay, I will ask one of your TA, okay, to solve just one example, okay, so to make this aggregate demand and aggregate supply more clear, okay, and I will ask them to record their session, okay. So basically, at the beginning, I said that there will be no recitation on Friday, okay, but there will be just a very short recitation, okay, just for one question. I will give them the question today, and I will ask them to solve it. Okay, so it will be maximum 30 minutes. Okay, for Friday. So which means that so there will be a recitation on Friday, and they will solve that question. Okay. So if you are missing, okay. So Muratcan, so what does it mean? Oh, okay. Okay. So I thought whether I forgot Turkish or not. Okay. So basically, there will be a very short recitation on Friday. Okay, and so it will be very helpful if you can. So in the worst case, okay, if you are missing, so it is again not a problem. Okay, so I will ask them to upload that video. Okay, but in the worst case, you can watch it. Okay, for your project. Okay, so you will decide on your own topic. Okay, so there is no need for rush at this point. Okay, so you can basically think about, and so again, so let me be more clear for the class project here. So it is just a few pages of a summary. Okay, so I'm not expecting you to write a 30-page summary or something like that. Okay, 5 page will be maximum. Okay, so let's say that five page of summary. Okay, so it will be the summary of the following. Okay, so I want you to focus on two things. Okay, you can either, for example, read the newspapers. Okay, follow the news, the current trends. Okay, for example, let me talk about the effect of the coronavirus on the airfares. Okay, the effect of the coronavirus on the tourism or something like that. Okay, so it has been definitely affected, right? Then basically I want you to explain that effect, okay, through the tools that we are learning in this class. Okay, so far we have learned just a few things: supply and demand, why the supply and demand shifts. For example, for the crisis in the tourism. Okay, so is it because of the supply shift or because it is because of the demand shift? You need to explain it. Okay, or you can think about the competition between Samsung and Apple. How do they compete? Okay, so when we start learning the game theory, okay, I may want to ask you to write that competition in your based on your thoughts. Okay, it will be something simple. I just want you to be get related with the economics. Okay, the economics thing. The second one is a summary of the topic. Okay, so which has received economic Nobel Prize. Okay, for example, in 2012, okay, Alvin Roth received the economy Nobel Prize, based on his works on the kidney exchange. Okay, I just want you to explain me what's kidney exchange. Okay, what's the contribution here? What's the key point here? Okay, why people awarded that topic with the Nobel Prize? Okay, that is what I'm expecting from the class project. Okay, and you will email me the class projects. Okay, and the due date will be the just before the final exams. Okay, so it will be the last class of this summer semester. Okay, you have plenty of time. Okay, the language will be of course English. Okay, you will have plenty of time. Okay, don't worry about it. But what I'm suggesting is basic. So So right now, the project topic might be abstract, okay? So it may not be clear at this point, okay? But whenever you think something, okay, whenever something comes to your mind, okay, do not hesitate to send me an email, okay? Another question? Perfect. So that's for all today, okay? And I will ask your TAs, okay, to hold just a half an hour presentation on Friday, okay, maybe shorter, just one question, and they will give you the information, okay, the timing, okay. So again, this course will be uploaded to YouTube and the Google Drive. If you don't have access to the Google Drive, just let me know, okay. Have a nice week, okay, and I will see you on Monday. Bye bye.